Third quarter, 10-18, game tied 59-59, and like that, it's tied. The Celtics came out of halftime with none of the vigor they had to start the game, getting a bad shot for base and 2 turnovers on their first 3 possessions. Meanwhile, Bosh scored on a long jumper. Wade hit a pull-up jumper and then slipped into the lane for a dunk to know it up. Halftime, Celtics 59-53. The lead is nowhere near as large as it once was, but it is still a lead for the Celtics. That is probably more than a lot of people expected out of them. Despite giving up 34 points in the second quarter, the Celtics lead the defending champs and owners of a 22-game win streak. The Heat surged back with a huge second frame by James and Wade, who combined for 19 points. James was a perfect 4 for 4 from the field in the quarter as the Heat shot 63% as a team. Still, Green and Pierce are keeping the Heat on their heels. Green has 26 points, 6 rebounds and 2 blocked shots. He is 9 of 12 from the field, impressive considering about half of that time he has also had to defend James at the defensive end. Pierce has bounced back from a quiet start to join Green in double figures with 11 points. The biggest thing to watch for the Celtics might be their foul situation. Everyone except Jordan Crawford has at least 2 personal fouls, which could be huge if 1 or 2 picks up the ticky-tack foul early in the second half. The Celtics are already thin, and losing Garnett puts their backs up against the wall in terms of depth. Second quarter, 2:50, Celtics 55-42. Rivers loves to say Terry is a competitor on par with Garnett. He must be, because only an ultimate competitor would try to step in and take on James driving unmolested toward the hoop. Terry was the Brandon Knight-like victim of a ferocious James slam that will make the highlight rounds this week. James stood over Terry, who was part of the Dallas team that downed Miami in the 2011 NBA Finals, to savor the moment. James got a technical foul for the act. Second quarter, 5:56, Celtics 46-34. If any Celtics fans out there started celebrating early, they might want to unpop the cork. The Heat are probably not going down this easily, and they have already started their climb back. Wade, who is playing healthy for the first time in 2 years, helped get things started with back-to-back buckets. Miami has closed the gap to 11 points a couple of times with Green off the court, but the Celtics have managed to answer both times by taking it to the hoop at the other end. Both teams recognize that neither one has a rim protector, so they are getting into the paint and taking as many shots as possible around the restricted area. Second quarter, 9:09, Celtics 41-24. The Heat really need to talk things over. At this rate, Green might just start dunking from the 3-point line, just for the heck of it. Green has 22 points on 8 for 10 shooting with more than 9 minutes remaining in the first half. He is simply getting ahead of steam and barreling toward the cup with abandon when the Heat fail to stop the ball, which they are failing to do a lot. When the Heat step back, he is canning jumpers with ease. He is 3 for 4 from beyond the arc, with all 3 of his makes from the corners. His lone miss is from the right wing. And of first quarter, Celtics 31-19, wow. Talk about making a statement. No Rondo, no Sullinger, no Barbosa and now no Garnett was no issue for the Celtics in the first quarter. With Green leading the charge, the Celtics blitz the Heat right from the jump. Green finishes the opening quarter with 14 points, just 5 less than Miami has as a team. The Heat just plain missed shots. The Celtics overcompensated to help whoever was defending against James, and the Heat could not capitalize. They shot 8 for 22 from the field, with Allen missing both of his 3-point attempts badly. The Pierce-Green combo is giving Miami all sorts of trouble. James can only guard one at a time, and Battier is not athletic enough to keep up with either. First quarter, 2:17, Celtics 25-19, going by the logic these Celtics have demonstrated this season, being a man down against the Heat should give the Celtics an unfair advantage. They are doing it again. With a key player sidelined, the Celtics are off and running against an elite opponent. Green has been gigantic, going for 12 points as he attacks the basket and shoots as calmly as though he were in an empty gym. The Celtics took a 22-19 lead without Pierce ever scoring. Pierce changed that, though. He fired off a three-pointer from the corner right over Allen's outstretched arm to get himself on the scoreboard and give the Celtics their largest lead since they led 6-0 in the opening minutes. First quarter, 5:55, Heat 16-11, Miami bodies are flying everywhere, even though the Heat are ahead. Bradley shed Bosh on a step-back crossover and Lee juked Chalmers onto the ground. Both ankle-breaking moves were completed with made jump shots, which is always the important part. The Celtics' disadvantages and advantages without Garnett obvious early. Green and Bass bring a much quicker, athletic personality on offense, but both have been caught making rotational gags on defense. Green even forgot to pick up James. Seriously, that happened until James had a head of steam and was a step from the hoop for a layup. 7:23 p.m. Doc Rivers was not optimistic about Kevin Garnett playing when the big ticket failed to show for shoot-around Monday morning. When Garnett arrived to the arena about 2.5 hours before commit time, Rivers' slim hopes evaporated completely. Garnett looked terrible, Rivers said, with an illness that the coach described as a flu or whatever. If the big man's groin were the only thing bothering him, Rivers said he would play. But both the coach and head athletic trainer Ed Lasert put the kibosh on that early. With that, Jeff Green moves back into the starting lineup. The Celtics like to play small, but they will now be even smaller. If there is any saving grace for them, it is that the Heat like to play small as well. Rivers singled out Chris Bosh, who has been stellar for Miami during their 22-game win streak, for his ability to spread the floor as the de facto center. The projected starters appear below. Heat Uganize Haslam, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, Mario Chalmers, Celtics, Brandon Bass, Jeff Green, Paul Pierce, Courtney Lee, Avery Bradley. 12:00 p.m. Kevin Garnett did not participate in the team's shoot-around this morning, according to multiple reports. He's being called a game-time decision. 10:00 a.m. Doc Rivers is calling Garnett 50 over 50 at best for tonight's game, which happens to land on the same date that the Celtics stopped the Rockets' 22-game streak 5 years ago. 8 a.m. Yet, Kevin Garnett would not miss this one, would he? Garnett, who sat out Saturday's game against the Bobcats with a strained muscle in his left thigh, has not said whether he will play Monday. The Celtics 36-29 sure would like him to, since their opponent is none other than LeBron James and the streaking Heat 51-14. The Heat come into Boston with something to prove, regardless of a 22-game win streak. Remember, the Heat were the first team to fall victim to the Rajan-Rondolesh Celtics. Some observers are wondering if the Celtics do not still have a mental edge over James despite last year's Eastern Conference Finals win. Join us for updates and analysis from TD Garden during the game, which tips off at 8 p.m. Read more at http://nsn.com/2013/03/Celtics Heat Live. LeBron James, Dwyane Wade look to keep streak alive in Boston.